Every time I wake up in the morning, I'm so thankful for of the fact that there's people out there who need me, and there's people out there who need the content that we share on this show. I'm talking about the content that helps you help your child make informed career choice, as a parent and as a guardian, and also it helps you also in different fields, career fields that is, get past the challenges that you're faced with. I'm talking about all the barriers, all the things that are putting you down, that are making you feel like, you know what, this is it. I need to just stop and forget about my dreams. No, the content that we bring for you here, it is the one that you actually need if you've been feeling like that. Because at the end of the day, we get people from different career fields to come and share with us about their journeys in creating the life that they truly love. And guys, it's amazing what you can learn from these people. I'm talking about people that have been in their career long enough to actually come and share with us about the things that we need to look out for. I mean, at the end of the day, we need to look up to people. We need to have people to influence us. We need to have like the right resources. So if you feel like you are one of those people that would like to, actually get past the challenges that you are faced with, and also those one of those people that would like to help children make informed career choice, then I say without a doubt and confidently that this is the show for you. Right, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another amazing episode of Complacency Learning. As always, I'm your host Ndibo Chibase, and on this episode we are joined by a very inspiring individual whose passion lies in helping people become the future leaders of tomorrow. He actually helps learners get more resources when it comes to learning. Learning happens in different ways, and to get people more actually willing to share such information, to help build a future that is filled with in inspiring minds, that is filled with great minds. It's amazing on its own. And without wasting time, and before I actually introduce the guest, may I ask you to go grab some popcorns, as you know that in this episode we share nothing but the best content. And yes, on today's episode, we are joined by Brian Asingia, who is here to share with us about what we need to look out for in terms of moving forward in everything that we're doing, right? The kind of circle that you need to keep, and what you as a human being need to be aware of. So I'm just gonna go ahead and give it up for Brian Asinja as he comes to the show to share with us such valuable content. I mean, all the way from New York. This is something. Ladies and gentlemen, let us sit tight and enjoy the content that Brian Asinja shares with us on this amazing episode of today's show or episode. Hi, Brian. Welcome to another episode of Complacency Learning. It's an honor to have you on this amazing today's episode. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing great. It's another beautiful day in New York, and looking forward to having a conversation with you.
And so, as they say, that every day above the ground is a blessing. So we need to make the best out of it. For us to be at the receiving end of those blessings, it should mean a lot. And here we are now about to, educate our children, help them make informed career choices. Right. So before we actually dive into the first question, I just would like to actually give you a chance to introduce yourself and what it is that you do, and also to let us and our listeners know what we can actually, what we can expect to learn from you on this episode.
Sure. I'm Brian Asingia. I'm currently the founder and CEO of DreamGalaxy Platform. We are an educational learning platform that seeks to allow people to learn and see themselves in the content that they learn from. So we distribute content in different languages from all parts of the world, responding to the need for more cultural relevance in learning materials. So if you're in Africa, you want to be learning from textbooks or videos created by Africans, and same thing, if you're from Latin America, and that's really our bigger focus. But like you, I think we do believe in lifelong learning or interest-based learning. And I think what people can expect to learn from me is a story of possibility, a story of always being able to learn the
Mm.
thing that's going to help you to get to the next step.
Mm.
And I think that's kind of my personal story, but also what I try to share with other people.
Well, I applaud you actually for doing what you're doing right now, because I mean, at the end of the day, like we need more people to actually help learners. We need people to actually help people know that what they do today really matters, and that they can always ask for help. That help is everywhere, right? So without wasting time and jumping into the first question, I do understand and believe that for most people that are in different career fields, right, there's things that they wish they had known before they actually began with the career, that they only discovered when they were in their career, right? And they feel that we actually feel that if we had learned it before we actually dive into the career, we would be so much further than we are today, right? So looking at you and your career as the founder of Dream Galaxy, like you said, you're the founder of the Dream Galaxy now. Right. So I just wanted to find out from you, what is the one thing that you wish you had known?
The one thing for me is that it's always about different points of view.
Mm.
And that means that if you're a good engineer,
Mm.
it will still take you knowing business knowledge
Mm.
to succeed in being a good engineer.
Mm. Mm.
Or it will take you understanding the law
Mm.
to build a good building that complies with the state or local government regulations, building codes. So, and I think a lot of times we think because you graduated with X, you now know everything there is. So I think once I got comfortable not knowing everything, but also knowing that other things or other points of views, other levels of expertise are important, it allows you to always want to learn more, but also to respect other people's expertise, because that's what they know and it's still important to whatever you're doing. In a business needs an accountant, a lawyer, a marketing person. All those things are important, and sometimes you can't be great at all of them, and that's okay. But it doesn't mean your area of expertise is the only important thing. So systems are complex, and they require different expertise or points of view. I sometimes wish I knew that, because often, like growing up in Uganda, the Ugandan education system kind of forced you at an early age to choose your career and take the courses that were relevant to like a science background versus an arts background. And as early as 13, you're forced to start making those choices. I think that's kind of a wrong way to go about it, because later on in life, I realized, well, actually, I need to learn to write. I need to learn to communicate like we're talking now. I need to be comfortable to express myself. So being good at numbers or engineering isn't good enough if you're going to go into business. If you're going to go communicate your idea, share your patent or explain it, you're going to need different kind of expertise to do that. So I think that's the one, yeah, the most important thing is appreciating different points of views, because it takes more than one level of expertise to succeed.
Mm. Mm. So before
Yeah,
actually going further down with the questioning, right? So I just wanted to ask you if you can just put it out to the listeners, to the listeners, what Dream Galaxy is all about.
sure. So DreamGalaxy, as I mentioned, is an online learning platform.
Mm.
Think of it like a Netflix, but for educational media. So what we're trying
Mm.
to curate is just content from different studios or educators
Mm.
um, that supports this sort of self-based learning approach. We're
Mm.
not trying to push specific curriculum, but we're focused on topics like entrepreneurship, leadership, languages and culture, um, things that can actually allow people to acquire new skills and then go build a business, acquire new skills and create change in their community, because we think not all knowledge is taught in the
Mm.
classroom, especially
Mm.
business knowledge,
Mm.
leadership knowledge,
Mm.
ethical kind of decision making. How do you do the right thing? If we think about the issue of corruption in our own communities, you know, often schools don't address that quite enough. So how do you continue to have that conversation on how you could be a better leader? So The platform itself, DreamGalaxy, offers content across ages. So you don't have to be in a specific. We started just distributing kids content or children's content, but we now actually partner with the Association of African Universities, who it's a network of about 600 higher education institutions across Africa that now contribute content that's created by their professors and their offices from AAU TV, often about topics like they interview African students on what they think of the current issues in Africa. There's training programs on blockchain. There's conversations about education in general. So we think that distribution and access is the first stage of learning. And then we do, at least on top of that, have DreamGalaxy Advisory, where we can now work with people that are trying to do business and actually support them. Because actually before that, I used to work at the New York Stock Exchange. So for me, it was part of the push was being able to support the next generation of innovators, because we still don't have a lot of African successes. And I think education has a big role to play with that. We don't think highly of ourselves sometimes, or we don't know that we can do bigger things. And I want to provide media and advice and maybe connections to help people that are on that journey as well. So that's a little bit of what we do. In short, I think we train, we advise, and we support people that are trying to improve themselves or become better leaders.
It seems to me that your passion lies in greatly helping people unlock their full potential, and and also get the best study, what you call this, resources as possible, right? So I'm also, by the way, in the same thing. I fully support what you're doing, and like I said, I applaud you for doing that. And yeah, may people find your content really helpful, and unlock those potential and become the future leaders of tomorrow. So looking at the career that you're in right now, I would like to know, what is the biggest failure that you've encountered, and what did you learn from it?
Yeah, I think my biggest failure was self-doubt. When I started this company, for example, mind you, before this, I think I was a success. I had graduated. I got a job on Wall Street at the New York Stock Exchange. I mean, that was like the dream job you could have. I mean, it's one of the largest companies in the world. They were paying good money. But I think I knew how to do the traditional corporate kind of thing. Do the interview, make your boss happy, do your research, collaborate with your team members. It's predictable. You can do it if you want. I think when I started my own company, all of a sudden I thought, well, am I even good enough to start a company? Am I good enough to tell these people that are older than me or wiser than me what the strategy is for the company? So for a good 2 to 3 years, I was delegating or hiding behind other people to try to make them the face of the company, to want them to be the boss, because I wasn't ready to be the boss. And I realized somebody actually that I had hired to go represent us in France, who had gotten accepted into some business development program through the French embassy promoting American businesses in France. And they just came back to me and said, I think you're the only person who can do this better. You seem to always know what we should be doing, and yet you kind of are hiding from that role. Like, just take the reins, and I think other people will follow. And it was harsh, but it was true. And so I thought of it as a failure, but not a failure as in, oh, it's the end of the world, but more as a learning opportunity that I actually was capable. People did see that potential in me. People did listen when I communicated. I just never believed it myself. And the moment I started believing and taking over, I mean, the rest is history. I'm actually kind of like very aggressive now, and how I push us forward, and I'm very comfortable with the pace. But I trust myself more now. I can still take advice. I can still rely on people. So I think that for me has been the most important sort of turning point, to move from doing what I was trained to do in sort of a traditional school environment to beginning to take reins of my own career and of my own sort of potential, and trust myself that I know what I want, that I can learn what I don't know, and I can also inspire other people to support my own vision. That was a big change, which was a failure in the beginning, but became a very important learning opportunity, where now my confidence actually does help inspire others.
So to the people that are actually looking into making as much difference as you are making, in people's life, like touch them in different ways, like transform their lives and all those things, right? So what advice can you give to them?
I would say it starts with you, right? So believe in yourself, because if you don't, I mean, you're lucky you'll find another person who will. There's always that one person that will believe in you. But chances are, based on where you are now, even though we don't know it, people have already believed in you for you to get this far. I think about my mother, who always asked me, what do you want? Even if we were shopping for a very little thing, you know, which cake do you want? Which soda do you want? Like, what is your opinion? I am here to support your decision. In the little things, we've all had those moments where our friends, our parents, our teachers actually care about what we think. And I think that's the most important part. Let them trust in their vision of the world they want to see, because that's how it starts. There are things we want to change in the community, and we already know what it is we would want to change. So then follow that compass and start having conversations and finding ways you can get other people to support you. But do not trade your idea or your vision for somebody else's. Obviously, they can come support my vision. But I do think that you often know better than anyone what is important to you. And it's your job to communicate that. It's your job to work hard for it. And if you get along for the ride, great. But you will always be happiest when you do the thing that you've always wanted to create or see in the world. And that can change every few years, but I think we are all capable of contributing, either using our own ideas or supporting other ideas that are similar to our ideas. That's why we have to first look inward and say, what would I want to change? And who else is doing it out there? Do I want to join them, or do I want to do my own thing still? I think we could do a lot more joining in Africa. We're not collaborating as much as I would want to see. We're always all doing the very same thing, 100 people doing the same thing. When you can have 100 people doing it under one organization, that would be much more influential. So seek that inner purpose and then collaborate and find somebody you can work with on that, because we are not alone. We are all thinking the same things. We're just not pushing the wheel together so the wheel can move much faster.
So I know that actually, when people want to start something, like in their mind, they see it booming before they actually get into the doing part of it, right? And at some point, they feel like maybe they're just running like a headless chicken. They have no direction and stuff like that. Because sometimes I think it can be because of the lack of resources that they use, right? So looking at you and where you are today, I believe that there's resources that you've used that have best helped you, right? So I just would like to ask you: are there any resources that have best helped you that you would like to also recommend to people that would like to follow the same career as the one that you're in and other careers as well?
Yeah, and so I'll quickly specify the two career paths that I've had so far, and then go into the resources. So as I mentioned, I maybe I didn't mention the schooling. I did electrical and computer engineering and minored in economics. That's how I ended up on Wall Street or working in finance, but mostly in technology, automating the trading at the New York Stock Exchange. So that sort of first phase of the corporate career was really about me applying my technology training, but really to the benefit of my mentor. So mentoring and advisory becomes very important. My academic advisor saw that I was more interested in business and urged me to minor like about 6 credit courses in economics, including finance. So that that hybrid then allowed me to, even though I like numbers, science, to be able to speak the business language or the Wall Street language, so to speak, and that helped me do well in the interviews. So I think that brings to my first point that I made earlier of different points of views, different perspective. Read newspapers every day. They cover all kinds of information. You can find all kind of, they write newspapers, not just the propaganda, but they'll have business section, obituary section. Somebody gave me that tip and I'll pass it on. If you read the obituary, you get to see who was influential in the community and what they did, what was their life like, what did they contribute. Lawyers, doctors, they tend to write about them. And to me, that always reminds me that our life is limited anyway. So what am I going to do that's important with this limited time that I have? So reading is very, very important. There's libraries. These days we have an internet with lots and lots of books. And if not, come to Dream Galaxy. You find lots of information as well, videos, audio. The second, I would say, as far as resources, is network, like people. Your school network is probably the most important, that I'm learning more and more the older I grow. I'm still young, but the older I grow. In a sense that we actually, like you said, if you're a lifelong learner, you spend most of your time learning. Whether you graduate, you do professional development. Whether you're a lawyer, you need to do continuous education to keep your certification. We're always learning. And where does learning happen? Through schools or education organizations. So if you already graduated, your alumni network and alumni office at your school is a big, big resource to tap into. You want to connect with a good lawyer or banker, chances are they were in your class, right? You want to connect with somebody with money, chances are one of your classmates has money. Go figure. Right? It becomes a good starting point. Obviously, other networks are like the church or your former co-workers, your community, your friends. But I think the school one is the most stable and is constantly producing new experts and new employable people, right? So I started with the mentorship and advisory one. I talked about the network, communities, especially your former schools or future schools. Literally just enroll in a new school, take one course, and now you're part of that network, right? That's how it works. I would say the last piece of resource is definitely internet. Whether it's all kind of apps out there. For example, the kind of mentorship we do for companies now, we do it virtually around the world. I'm talking people in China, Singapore, 10 people a month in Africa that are building great companies. We've never met, but we're doing things now. Without the flight ticket cancellation, all these extra costs. You can just do things just like we're talking now. And that's a very important resource because you're sharing ideas without the extra burden or cost of traveling. That's important. So for me to have access to that, and for me, if I'm not in Africa, to be able to talk to Africans and know what's going on the ground is just as important to me when I'm not there, as it is important for them to know how they can take advantage of opportunities in America or Europe or anywhere. So I think it used to be that the illusion sometimes is that you have to leave Africa to succeed. I think we have to bridge. We can be there and build things, but rely on the people who are not there to educate us on what we're missing, and vice versa. We also, we rely on you guys to educate us when you're on the ground, what it's like. Because sometimes I assume things are okay when they're not. Sometimes I assume things are bad, but they've actually gotten better and people have electricity. So I think information access is the biggest challenge, and we owe it to each other. And especially in Africa, I'll end on this note with that particular question. I like to think that for Africa, I'm going to go there. We are at a disadvantage because other people want to tell our story in a negative way so they can get a bargain on everything they pay that's coming from Africa. So if they say your school is not good enough, then you're going to come and pay for their schools here. If they say your food is not good enough, then they're going to pay a low price for it. It's a buy low, sell high. I mean, that's all it is. So it's up to us to say, no, it's actually the best, or no, it's actually really good, and I'm going to charge you more. For me, I mean, I don't know if that was even an answer to that question, but in terms of resources, yeah, we need more branding, storytelling, negotiation, whatever you want to call it, because there's not a lot of help on the positive storytelling of Africa. And we can be resources for each other to do it. If I'm doing it, you're doing it like we're doing now, and somebody else is doing it. Overall, the image of Africa gets better, becomes more valuable, and we all benefit from it, because we can ask a premium price for whatever we're creating or producing, because it's no longer belittled. So I think that's an important point. You see it with the Africa Continental Free Trade Area and all these things. We have to be better resources to each other, governments, citizens, and the diaspora and the people in Africa. Like I think we are the biggest resource for each other before we even go to other things. So, yeah, the network, at mentorship, the network, as well as just supporting each other in terms of helping rebrand or rephrase and improve Africa. I think that's a shared goal, regardless of where one lives. We can all participate in that, and that can be a powerful network too, that connects us all as a people.
So going back to the question where I asked you about the failures that you've encountered, right? So you did say that it was more of like self-doubt where you were hiding behind the people, right? And until they told you that, you know what, you need to step up, you know, because it seems like you know what to do, right? So of which I believe that it's one of the people that influenced you, right? And also, looking at the ones where I asked you about the resources, you did mention the co-workers, your friends, the network that you keep, the mentoring. So I just wanted to find out from you, right? So what are the three people that have influenced you the most up to this date?
Sure. Yeah, I would say right off the bat, my mother, because she introduced me to reading at a very early age. I mean, she's a teacher, teaches English and
Wow,
music.
big ups to teachers, eh? I'm also a teacher, by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah. So I love teachers. Teachers anywhere around. Of course, the bad teachers I don't like. Some teachers don't encourage you to learn. You know? Any teacher who encourages me to keep learning, I like. So I think just getting introduced to reading was very important for me to then discover worlds. Just read a book, it transports you. Read a book, it forces you to think about things that are outside your community. And so I think I saw the world before I saw the world, is how I say it. Like I read about America before coming to America. I read about Europe before visiting Europe. You have to like imagine beyond that. We talked about that in the very beginning, different points of views, different perspectives, you know, and that helps inform you. So that was important. The second, I would say, definitely one teacher I met in college. It was a policy, then Benjamin really was his name. It was in policy professor. So I took one policy class from him. And all of a sudden, I was so interested in this philosophy of policy. Of like, basically, what I learned from the class was very simple. It's not good enough to just be a good engineer. Or it's not good enough to have the best idea, because the best ideas don't always succeed. Ideas fail or succeed based on cultural preferences, funding, regulation, a million other reasons why an idea may not work, even though it was a great idea. People just didn't like it because it was a foreign idea, or it was created by somebody not from South Africa. So because it was created by a Zimbabwean, we don't like it. We wish it was created by a South African. We're going to go with the South African idea, even though it's not as great. That's the reality. So that kind of humbles you a little bit to know that it takes a lot more for ideas to succeed. And it started pushing me to then want to answer, well, what makes ideas succeed, right? Because wouldn't it be nice to know that? And that's allowed me to appreciate this interdisciplinary kind of approach to life and to learning. Because you may just have a great idea, but it doesn't mean that society will accept it as is. Sometimes you have to package it differently. I would say the third, since it was only 3, of course I have lots and lots of people. The third for me would be the African billionaire Tony Elmelo. I think growing up, I actually didn't think there were African billionaires, had never heard of them. So when I got accepted into his program in 2015 as one of the first Africa-focused entrepreneurs in his foundation, he has an entrepreneurship program that trains, selects about 1,000 African entrepreneurs every year. I cried, and then I later on saw him speak at Columbia University, and then he invited me to speak with him. Like, that was great. So I think that just having role models, like people we can look up to and admire and know that we can succeed in Africa, that we could do things for Africa, that was like priceless. Like, it gave me that confidence that I was lacking, that some of these things are doable. Because sometimes if you don't see someone who's done something who looks like you, it's hard to see yourself doing that thing. And I would say that has been, even till this day, the most influential thing. Because now I know it's possible. It doesn't mean I'm going to be the one who does it. Maybe it's somebody else that succeeds. But it means it's okay for me to keep trying and doing what I'm doing. Obviously, ideally, I wouldn't need him to validate myself, but it's nice to see. I'm not gonna lie, it's nice to see other people succeeding in Africa. It helps, build that confidence. So.
Right. So, wow, this is like some great content that you're sharing with us today.
Thank
And
you.
like I said, it's an honor to have you on today's episode. I mean, I'm learning as I'm speaking to you as well, right? So, like now, speaking about different careers, right? People would say a lot of things about different careers, and some of those things, I believe that they're not true. Some of them are true, right? So I like to use the one of the teachers, because I mean I'm in the education space. Like I mentioned earlier on, that I'm a teacher as well, right? So, well, people say yes, teachers do get free time. Yes, we do get the holidays and stuff. I think it's all because we work hard, because I mean,
Yeah.
imagine sitting at home at night planning how you're going to execute the lesson, encouraging learners, marking those papers. I mean, that's like working even overtime, of which most people don't see that, and that's why they would draw up a conclusion to say that teachers work lesser hours compared to other profession. And by what I just said to you, I believe that it's not true, right? Because I mean, I feel like those holidays we deserve them as
Yeah,
teachers,
definitely.
because I mean we work
Yeah.
hard, and we work hard in a way that people would think that we don't have a life. I mean, I just came back from work. Now I'm doing this. I still have papers to mark.
Yeah.
I still have lessons to plan. I still have to I have learners that I worry about, like how am I going to get the spirit up? I plan all those things. So I just wanted to also find out from you, like looking into what you are doing, which is to also, make a difference in people's lives, make sure helping them, making sure that they reach that life that they truly imagine. It's more like helping them see themselves where they want to be before they can actually see themselves there.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, so looking into that profession, right, I just want to ask you, what is the myth about it that you would like to expose the falseness of?
Yeah. The myth, I would say, which is really big in so many ways, is that you know what you're doing.
Mm.
um,
Yeah.
you
Mm.
know, because often you'll have your parents, your friends, your
Mm.
coworkers saying,
Mm.
"But why did you just leave this very stable, good-paying job
Mm.
to go
Mm.
do
Mm.
this risky business, to go do
Mm.
this uncertainty, right?
Mm. Mm.
Or can somebody else solve that problem? Why does it have to be you?"
Mm.
And I'm
Mm.
saying it's a myth because you you're a learner. So you're gonna figure out the solutions on the way. That's the whole point.
Mm.
You don't need to have a perfect plan. That's not how you change society. That's not how you create anything meaningful. You improve as you learn. Even somebody building a road or a train, a railway, if they find a mountain, they don't just go through the mountain. Sometimes they go around the mountain if they
Mm.
can't. They adapt. So
Yes.
for you to say, oh, you want to build the world's longest train? Give me your plan right now. It's like, no, I got to go do
Mm.
surveys. I got to go
Yeah.
talk to people. Can I go through their land? And if I can't go
Mm.
through their land, I'm going to have to go around them, right?
Mm.
So
Mm. Mm.
do we always know what we're doing? Do business
Mm.
people, do entrepreneurs, do leaders have all the answers? Absolutely not.
Not. Mm.
It goes back to what I said earlier, different points of views, different perspectives. You're going to rely on your coworkers, you're going to rely on your mentors, you're going to rely on your customers to actually tell you. Even if you're a teacher, you're going to rely on your students these days to tell you what else you could be teaching because they
Mm.
know.
Mm.
They're online every day, they're seeing something new you may not know. They might know how to create a better presentation than you do, how to make your
Mm.
presentations more fun
Mm.
so they're
Mm.
not
Mm.
sleeping in the classroom. You can
Mm.
just ask them
Mm.
and that
Mm.
would solve that. So I think the biggest myth is people have to have all the answers.
Mm.
That to then do something, to then
Mm.
change. I say no, it's the opposite. You just have to have all the questions. You may not have to have all the
Mm.
answers, but you
Yes.
you
Yes.
may have a lot of questions.
Mm. Mm.
That's good enough to then start going to find answers to those questions because
Mm.
it's only along that process that
Mm.
you end up doing things. Um,
So, speaking of that, the learners that they might also have better ideas than you and that they see the things that you do, right? I was actually told and asked 1,000 times, like, sir, why are you not a life coach? Like, why do you say that?
yeah.
They're like, I mean, you're very good at building us. You're very good at making sure that we keep that character, and that we grow up with it in order for us to become the people that we would like to be, and I feel like the point that you just raised right now is it's something that a lot of people should hear, because I mean sometimes when learners talk we just tend to think, they don't understand how difficult it is. We tend to think it's difficult before we actually get into the doing part of it, right? So yes, well, but I've tried also to, ask the best questions as possible, right? And I'm sure also there's some questions that you would have liked for me to ask you, right? So if I may ask, is there any question that you would have loved for me to ask you that I did not?
Sure. I would
Mm.
say just the future. I live in the
Mm.
future, mainly
Uh,
because
mm,
we created the future today, and what is here today was created
mm,
yesterday. I fundamentally
mm,
believe that, right? So I'm always curious about
mm,
people's dreams or plans, or in this case, what is next in my career.
mm,
And I think for me, it's continuing right now, which I'm doing, continuing to educate and advise other entrepreneurs like myself, especially in emerging markets like Africa.
mm,
But my next journey is to then try to sometime next year or the year after start to really allocate capital to these entrepreneurs, make sure they get access to the funding they need to build these great ideas. Because I think the culture of entrepreneurship, the culture of business ownership
mm,
and building is still under supported across Africa. Especially by our own people, Africans themselves. And I just
mm,
want to be part of that community and that
mm,
ecosystem and help people believe in the ideas, people create jobs, uh, and hopefully we all learn together along the way. So yeah, that's what is next for my career chapter. But it would be the same kind of process of like learning, building, and supporting through funding and advice and other things. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems also to me that you have it's like strong value system, and I believe that also that strong value system is the one that actually helped you get to the place that you are right now, right? So if I've been listening also correctly, I see that you've also managed to build some connections along the way, right? Like imagine all the way from Uganda to New York. I mean, that's a place that
Yeah,
most people want to go to, because
yeah,
I'm also thinking here to myself, I'm like, how did he do it? But and I can't help it but to ask you this question. How did you do it?
yeah. I think that how becomes a complex question, but my short answer would be curiosity takes you places,
Mm,
right?
mm,
There's that expression, curiosity. Uh, I don't know, curiosity,
killed the
something
cat.
called that.
Curiosity
I
killed the
say the
cat.
first part, I'll say the second part.
Curiosity killed the cat.
Curiosity kills the cat, and
Yeah,
satisfaction brought it.
yeah.
So, and the reason I mentioned that, and for me, it's always been about
Mm,
curiosity. I literally came to the US for high school learning experience, international high
mm,
school program.
mm,
Uh, but it was mainly because, hey, I've been reading about all these places.
yeah.
Now I did. It wasn't like, oh, I'm coming because they have better schools. Literally, it was more of
Mm,
like, oh, you really get to see all these places you've been reading about in books, right? Because
mm,
I was
mm,
still a good
mm,
student
mm,
at home.
mm,
So I knew I was
mm,
learning. But to me, it was
mm,
more of the sense, initially at least, of
mm,
like, you get to see these places that you've been reading about, and maybe you learn something. Maybe that will inform what else is different. I
mm,
think as for the how, it's just been
mm,
one step after another. I would
mm,
say mainly people support you. If
mm,
you say and share what you're trying to do
mm,
all the time, I get kicked out of dinners sometimes. Like, you're not invited to this dinner anymore. You're always talking
mm,
business. Well, that's all I care about. Not all, but
mm,
like, I'm very
mm,
passionate about it. If I'm
yeah.
at a dinner table, I'm gonna be that one guy just talking business ideas. If somebody else is willing to listen, I'm not gonna force it on
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
But if we start a conversation or we won't stop, right? Other people can talk other things. So I think being able to just constantly signal and communicate your plans, not all of them, because not everybody can understand them,
Mm,
but people won't help you if they don't know what you're trying to do or become.
mm, mm,
And if people talk about manifesting, I believe in just signaling. Act like the person you're trying to become. You talked about values. you
mm,
know you're trying to be the not corrupt person, which I literally just
mm,
wrote a book on this big conversation on ethics,
mm,
um, and part of me writing that book was to again signal through the
mm,
book what my values are. If I'm ever to invest in companies, what kind of companies would I invest in? I'm signaling through the book, but also to share those values with other people that could find it useful. That's why I write.
mm,
um, for those interested, self-plug, the book is called Cashless Society 101, and
mm,
my website is brianasingia.com. I'm sure we'll talk about that, but if people wanted to find more information.
mm,
So I think like the how comes back to understanding your own purpose,
mm,
communicating it, and finding spaces or
mm,
communities, both online and offline,
mm,
that can support that. There will always be school student organizations, alumni organizations, companies,
mm,
nonprofits, for-profits that align with what you're trying to do. So often I get frustrated, and I've had my own frustrations too, when we get stuck in the room
mm,
where we're not getting the help we need. You need to leave that room. If you have a friend that does not support your goals and ideas, I don't call them friends.
mm, mm, mm,
For me, friends are not just for partying.
mm, mm,
I want to have fun with you, but I also want you to support my dream, and I want to know your dreams too, so I can support you. That's
mm,
good friendship.
mm,
That's good family. That's a good classmate. That's a good. Of course, we can't always support everybody, but at a minimum, you know what I would at least I should know. I should know, if I claim to know you, I should
mm,
know what your dreams and goals are.
mm,
That's how I know you know me. And if you
mm,
don't, then you don't know me that well yet. I'm sorry. You
mm.
know my
Yeah.
name, but you
Mm,
don't really know
yeah.
me, right? Because if you did,
Mm,
you'd know what I care about, and you'd
mm,
either respect it or find ways to support it.
mm.
So the action of that becomes the support, or you may just say, hey, did you read this article? Hey, talk to my friend John. He's kind of interested in cars the same way you are, right? That level of like community support is really what's missing, because we always have information. We know who does what, but maybe we don't share it with our friends so they can progress. So I think that the how, I would say that I've been raised by a village, from literally my village where I grew up, to Americans that would allow me to stay with them in the summer when I couldn't fly home every year, to alumni that helped me get hired into the job because they worked at that company and they saw me and believed in me and they said, we're going to speak on your behalf, to people that have been supporting my entrepreneurial journey. And now I'm trying to kind of do the same. And actually, by building DreamGalaxy Platform, for me, it's more of a community. We're going to have media and content like this. I mean, I'll probably follow up later by email. We would love to have these kind of videos on the platform, because that's what's needed, both online and then offline. You can have conferences and summits and these kind of experiences. But I think a lot of times we just focus on physical. I have to fly to America to succeed. I have to. Personally, I don't travel much. I'm looking to travel across Africa a lot more. But
just let me know when you get to South Africa.
Yeah, please. We will definitely do something in South Africa, because I think sometime next year for sure I'm going to be doing like an Africa road show.
Great.
But I do think that the biggest challenge or this shortcut is just connecting online. I have friends in Germany that I talk to every week. Some of them we've never met, but they passionately support what I'm doing, and vice versa. So the physical challenges, which are common in Africa, we can leverage the internet to kind of like, why wait until we meet to support each other? Why wait? Matter of fact, let's start working, and then when we finally meet, we have something to celebrate. So I am very, very passionate about that particular aspect, and I think that would be what I would wish for everybody, to find ways to make things work. There will always be frustrations, but let's work through those challenges together.
Well, as they say, that some people won't support you because they're afraid of what you might become. They can see that, man, there's that power within this gentleman. But
yeah, and you can't convince them. That's why you just gotta keep going. They close that door, look for the other door out in the corner, and exit stage left, and you'll find your people waiting outside. Or life is a journey, because if you're not progressing, somebody told me even about companies. If you're still doing the thing you were doing 2 years ago, your company isn't growing, right? You should be training people to do the thing you're doing now, so that tomorrow you're doing the different thing. I mean, even if you're a teacher, right? You teach students about this thing. Once they know it, you go teach them another thing. So it's the same thing about life. If your friends supported you up to a certain stage, but they can't support you to the next stage, you're still going to be friends, but they can no longer be your primary support network, because now you need to launch to the next stage. And it's okay to bring in new mentors and new connections and new advisors for that new goal or new phase that you're in. And I think a lot of times what I personally hate is getting stuck.
Yeah.
I want to have a new goal every year. I want to challenge myself every year, every 10 years. It doesn't matter. I'm growing, I'm changing. I still have the same values of doing the right thing, trying to be a good person, trying to do well by the community. But the learning and growing and doing different things, that's never going to change. Yeah.
Well, Albert Einstein once said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting to see different results. I mean, at the end of the day, challenges are what builds us. They're the ones that actually make us strong. So I remember one time I attended. I don't know if you've heard of the Real Success events.
Real?
I think real, like REAL, real success events where there's like people like Dr. DiMartini, Robin Banks, there's like a lot of people there. right? So there was this also gentleman who has made it. So he's actually was born in Tembisa here in South Africa, right? So I'm just actually going back to the point where you said you need to live the way that you would like to live in future, right? So he did share with us that one of the things that he would do would be like maybe if he sees a shop that sells like the suits, like gentlemen's suits, right? So he would go in there and try all those suits, knowing very well that he doesn't have money. And then after
Yeah.
that, when you can see that those people are really interested in helping him, he would ask them a question like, don't you have this in yellow? Knowing very well there's no suit in yellow at that store. And then he would just, leave. And also the other thing that he did is that he would,
If only you had it in yellow. Wow.
yeah, yeah. He said he would also go to these expensive restaurants, knowing very well you don't have money. You go in there, the waiters or waitresses are gonna come and ask you, what would you like to have? You're like, I'm just waiting for my friend, but for now you can just give me like water. You know, that time you're getting that feel of being in that restaurant, right? And
Yeah,
you're not gonna
it's
order
powerful.
at that time. Yes, you're not gonna order at that time. And then you just a few minutes later you get up and say, it seems like my company won't be joining me. I might have to leave now. And then you just
I
pay
might
for
have
that
to.
bottle of water, you go,
To be
you know.
honest, I do that
Yeah.
all the time for conferences. I
Yeah.
will RSVP to a conference.
Mm.
Whether I'll make it or not, we will see. But at
Mm.
least I get to know who else attended.
Yeah. True, true.
I get to know what. If I make it, great. If I don't,
Mm.
sometimes you get a
Yeah.
recording
Mm,
of the
mm,
event that happened.
great.
So there's nothing wrong with
Mm.
being in the room or kind of being in the room, because at least one foot
Yeah.
is in the door. You know what they say. Your
Yeah.
foot is in the door. We'll figure
Yeah.
out the rest later. So I agree.
True,
That's a good one.
true.
That's a good
I mean,
story.
at the end of the day, challenges are the ones that are supposed to make you want it more. Because I mean, challenges, like I said before, they're the ones that build us to become the people that we want to be. I think it also comes down to, I think you've heard of the saying that goes like, if it doesn't scare you, then well, or if it doesn't challenge you, then it's not
Right?
worth it.
That's a challenge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yes.
It
So,
is scary. That's what I said with
yeah,
that thing of like,
yeah,
you don't know everything. That's the
yeah,
misconception. People think you have all the
mm.
answers. It's like, oh no, I don't know what I'm doing, but we're gonna figure it out.
Yes. And also, they say, what you call these things, if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. You know?
Try stupid, yeah.
Yes. Yes. So, like I said, looking at you now, you're an inspiration. Like, I mean, you're also inspiring me to keep on continuing on my journey, to help people become the best version they can be in future. Right. So
Thank you.
so and I believe that I'm not the only one that is being motivated. I believe also our listeners are motivated, are being also inspired, and 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 they would like to get in touch with you as much as I would like to get in touch with you. So I just want to ask you, to those that would like to actually get in touch with you, where can they do that online?
Yeah, I'm actually, yeah, a lot of places. I think the first thing is they can just type in my last name, Asingia, Asingia, and Google will direct them.
Mm,
I like to brag that I happen to be the most famous Asinja because I come from a very small
mm,
tribe in Uganda, the Bakonza, and we're very few people. And there's a few people with the name Asinja, but there's not that many. So
mm,
that's another reason I use it. It would be easy if somebody remembered that they can
mm,
easily find me online. But
mm.
I'm on LinkedIn. Just type in Brian Asinja, you'll find me. Instagram, it's at Brian Asinja. On Twitter, at Brian Asinja.
Brian
I'm
Asingia,
now
but
on
sorry, with an
at,
I, not with a Y,
yeah,
right? Mm-hmm,
Brian with an I, Brian
mm-hmm,
Asingia. So that's the same on across all the social media channels. And then the easiest really is my name.com, brianasinja.com, BRIANASINGIA.com. And that website will continue to improve. I think I'm going to update it to have more of my videos, books, and it also links to Dream Galaxy platform that really has a lot more of the content. Um, Definitely plan to be on a lot more podcasts and shows moving forward, doing a lot more speaking engagements. So I think there'll be a lot more opportunities. And always happy to talk about my books, my two books now. talk about the work we're doing, talk about how we advise companies and education in general. So if there are other podcasters, teachers that want me to come talk to students, those are the things that just make me happy. Like, as long as we're having conversations and talking and doing and pushing each other forward, that's really, really exciting for me. So thank you so much.
Because at the end of the day, that's where your passion lies, when you do
Yeah.
something with passion, you enjoy it,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So one of my favorite questions, it's actually the questions that I would like to close with, right? So it has to do with learning. Right. So you had to learn for you to be where you are. You did mention something about reading
I'm still
books,
learning,
using the
but go ahead.
internet. Yes. As they say, everybody's a continuous learner. So we learn every day. We don't have to be in school to learn. We can learn like through what happens to us. So yeah, and also, especially when it comes to actually reaching out for the life that you truly love, you need to like really invest some time in, getting to understand what you're actually heading out for. You did say that some of the things that you can use is the newspaper, right? So, and this process of learning, I believe it needs passion and determination, because without those things, I believe there's no drive, and without drive, you're just gonna, give up and say, okay, that's it, right? It's a small punch, that's it. Okay, so I just want to ask you, what does the word learning mean to you?
Hmm. It means a lot of things, but I think learning means possibilities. Is
Mm,
is is what somebody, one of my interns who's no longer an intern, but they now work for a major bank,
mm,
told me that I tend to tell a story before I make the point. So I'm learning to start with the point.
mm,
So big word there is possibilities. Learning equals possibilities. Why? Often if we're afraid of things we don't know. So if we're afraid of tomorrow, it's because we don't know
mm,
about tomorrow, and that's okay. Uh, but if we learn about what the weather will be like tomorrow, now we have options. Should we carry an
mm,
umbrella or not? So
mm,
we've learned something. We now have options or possibilities. Um, and I say possibilities because it sounds a little bit more positive. I'm more of an optimist. uh,
mm,
but I think that's what learning creates. It's like all these other things you did not know
mm,
that you now know.
mm,
And if you didn't know music and now you know music, you can charge people to listen to your music. You
mm,
can collaborate with the musician. You can
mm,
appreciate music more. You can attend more music events. I use the music example because I'm that guy. I like music, mostly jazz.
mm,
But I think that's what learning does, is it helps us understand things we didn't understand. But more importantly, actually, back to the theme of possibilities, learning allows us to be teachers.
mm, mm,
There's not, and I actually realize this every week or every month. You learn more by teaching
mm,
or by sharing.
mm,
You know, if you know how to fix a computer and somebody's computer is broken and you fix it for them, or you show them how they can do it for themselves the next
mm,
time, you're
mm,
gonna find things you didn't even know. Like
mm,
in the process of teaching, somehow your mind already knows it. You just never shared it with yourself because you just
mm,
didn't need it.
mm,
Right? So you may say things like, "Oh, and by the way, this is the shortest way you can do this."
mm,
And you go, wow, like I just said that to this person, but you would have
mm,
never said it to yourself because you never needed it.
mm,
So learning often through doing or through teaching is the strongest, because it's real life learning or project based learning is literally teaching. Either you're
mm,
teaching yourself by learning on the job,
mm,
or you're teaching somebody else by mentoring and advising them. And I think that completes the learning loop of like you learn something and then you teach. You learn something, then you practice.
mm,
You learn something, then you share, or other people share with you, and that's how you learn. So
mm,
it's not an isolated thing, and I think that's what I love about it. That it's actually I mean, if you're reading a book, somebody wrote it, so you're already interacting with them through across time. Think about that. I don't want to be too philosophical about it, but that's the beauty of it. It's like possibilities, learning across time, learning across cultures, learning across borders, which is something I'm just passionate about now. You know, I can learn about South Africa, I can learn about Ethiopia without ever being, and then someday I'm able to visit. But there's no reason we can't learn about each other in Africa. There's no reason we can't learn from each other. You know, technology can help us start that conversation, and then we can meet in real life. We can do things in real life. But yeah, if you learn something, try teaching it a little bit, and you learn more. So.
Oh, it's been really, like, really honestly an honor to have you on this amazing episode. Like, I
Thank
really gained valuable insights, and I believe that also our listeners are gonna also gain some valuable insights, actually, and especially in terms of how to keep moving forward, in terms of what you should keep as the drive, the resources, the people, the circle that you need to keep, the connections that you need to make, and all other things that we can possibly think of, right? So, like I said, the content was amazing, and for you to come here, it really means a lot to us, because I mean, we live in a time where everybody's so busy, they can't just sit down and educate others, and
Yeah,
for that, for that, I have to say thank you. And also, in closing, can I ask you if maybe there's a quote that you would like to leave us with, or maybe something that you've read?
a quote.
Mm.
Yeah. I have lots of quotes over the years, but I would say my I would leave you with two because I don't want to
Mm.
pick one. My favorite
Okay.
quote is really a song by
Mm.
Nas, who is an
Mm.
American rapper called Nas,
Yes,
and it's
yes.
called "I Know I Can."
Mm. Mm.
And I might even sing a little bit. It just goes,
Mm.
I know I can
Mm.
be who I want to be. If I work hard at it, I'll be who I
Mm.
want to be. And
What's the name of the song?
I know I can.
I know I can. All right. All right. I'm gonna listen
Yeah,
to it, by the
it
way.
does. It's a beautiful
Yeah.
song, and it's
Mm.
deep because it's all about African Americans realizing their potential, but also remembering their history. That they used to be kings, and so it
Mm.
has that Africa element to it anyway.
Mm.
But it's about possibilities. If you work hard enough, you can be whatever you want, right? And it's also about being a good person. But I like that expression because that was my biggest failure
Mm.
and opportunity to learn and grow. To say I'm gonna go from being a worker or employee to try to
Mm.
be a business owner and leader.
Mm.
And it doesn't matter how young you are, you can be those things because you know you can. You're gonna work hard. You're gonna keep learning.
Mm.
So that's from somebody. I would say for myself, what I've tried to say or come up with
Mm.
and through my books and writing or is technology is
Mm.
a tool for progress towards a better society.
Mm.
Keyword there is better society. I don't
Mm.
want tech
Yeah.
that's coming to
Mm.
dominate and terrorize people. You
Mm.
know,
Mm.
I'm more of an ethist, so I kind of idealize. I want a better society, a better world. So that has to be in there somewhere. I don't care that your computer can compress
Mm.
files in this many seconds.
Mm.
How does it help us be better? Let's go put it to the world. So I don't like PhD students sometimes for that reason. They are great, they're smart, but it's like, can we
Mm.
make this practical in the world?
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Right? So, yeah.
Mm. Oh, wow,
Whew.
that's a great one. Oh, yeah,
we
today.
will definitely
Mm.
have more conversations like this. I'm sure I would love the opportunity, and I accept
Mm.
the challenge
Mm.
to visit South
Mm.
Africa soon. I think it's something to do come next year or as soon as the world improves. So we'll definitely work on that. Um, and let's follow up separately and see how we can collaborate moving forward on the Dream Galaxy side of things. We would love to distribute content like this, like I said. and have it in more schools, available to more students. But I agree. I think you should be a coach. I think people that are telling you to be a coach, you're already a teacher.
uh,
I'm inviting you to be a virtual coach. You just need to
yeah,
be on the screen and maybe answer some questions. People
yeah,
with journalists who start a column and people can send you questions. You can answer one lucky question every week
yeah,
and give some advice. I think
yeah,
I think you can be that, and
yeah.
maybe you wear a mask and hide your face. Maybe you don't want people to know it's you, but we'll create a cartoon avatar that will be answering
Mm,
questions.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, one thing that people don't realize is that, when you're doing all these things and you're not hiding, you make these mistakes, like all these things that people are looking forward to laugh at you for. The one thing they
yeah,
don't realize is that they're helping you brand yourself because they're gonna share it. The more they share it,
yeah.
they're getting people to come to you. So I don't see the
It's
need to,
like,
to hide myself. And that challenge is a
yeah,
life coach.
it's good
I'm going to
attention,
accept
right?
it. Yeah, yeah.
It's a
I'm
good
definitely.
challenge.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm,
one question a week or one question a month,
mm,
and you just
mm,
answer them. People ask you questions anonymously. It's a
mm,
good way to start,
mm,
because I personally, what I appreciate about this is it was a conversation. It didn't even feel
mm,
like an interview. It didn't,
mm,
and
mm.
that's rare. Actually,
Yeah,
I'll
it
commend you on
is.
that. Like
Thank
it
you.
was a
Thank you.
conversation,
Mm,
seamless. Like that's
mm,
skill right there. I don't know
yeah.
how else you could use it, but you're already using it. So I'm saying, yeah, look
Yeah.
through that tool.
Mm,
There's lots
mm,
of talents in there, and
mm,
I
mm.
appreciate the opportunity. Looking forward to seeing it online, and we'll share it as much as we can. And then I think
Mm.
you and I have work to do
Yeah.
for our next careers. So let's figure that out
Mm,
together.
mm,
Thank you so
mm.
much.
No, I'd actually really, really, really from the bottom of my heart appreciate that. And also, I just want to say, it's not a lot of people that have believed in what I've that believed in what I do. And I just want to really say thank you for seeing that in me because at the end of the day, you have no idea how it's traveling here in the mind. It's hitting those things, those neurons saying, "Hey,
Uh,
did you hear?" Getting through to the
I
skull,
always tell people, send it again so I can record it.
Yeah,
In this case,
yeah,
it's recorded. So,
yeah, it's recorded. No, but
nah,
definitely we'll keep in touch. Definitely,
yeah,
and thanks a lot.
appreciate it.
They really appreciate.
Pleasure was mine. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks a lot. All right, and keep
All right.
safe.
I will. You too. Stay safe. We'll be in touch.
All
Bye.
right, bye. Well, you heard it for yourself. There's no need for me to tell you that the content that was shared by Brian Asingia is so amazing, right? You heard it for yourself. You can see what an inspiring individual he is, and if you feel that you'd like to get in touch with him, please do so. Do so on the details provided at the bottom of the screen, and in doing so, remember to like and subscribe so you can get more content like this. I mean, this is the show that is aimed at helping you, live a better life, helping you go to bed with a smile of satisfaction, knowing that you've done the right thing, that you've helped your child make the right informed career choice, that you've also learned something, because at the end of the day, we are continuous learners. We need to keep learning, right? So please remember also to like and subscribe so that we can you are notified of all the episodes that we post. Basically, you don't miss any episode that we post. And guys, in doing so, please remember also to hit the bell icon. And also, we shall continue to do the very best and bring you the best information possible. And in closing, I would like to encourage each and every one of you to continue to keep safe, sanitize, wear your masks. Remember that you have a bright future ahead of you, and nobody is there to actually reach out for you. You need to be the one to go out there and reach out to that bright future that stands before you. So ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned for more episodes to come.